This is breaking news from Channel 7 Eyewitness News.
The hope, the hype, the anticipation all dashed within just minutes when New York Jets' Aaron Rodgers went down in the first quarter of the team's first game of the season. Rodgers left the field with some sort of lower leg injury. Details on how bad it is still coming in tonight. Sports anchor Ryan Field leading us off in the newsroom. Ryan?
Boy, Sade, I'll tell you what, we have to really process this roller coaster of emotions that we just witnessed right here on Channel 7. You talk about the worst case scenario for the Jets and their fans, and this doesn't even begin to describe it when you talk about what happened at the beginning of the game. MetLife was buzzing over Aaron Rodgers' Jets debut, but almost as soon as it began, his night was shockingly over. Now the question becomes, how long will he be out of action? This was the scene at the Meadowlands. Rodgers led the team out of the tunnel, carrying the red, white, and blue on 9/11. The stadium was as loud as it's ever been. The starved Jets fan base waiting with bated breath for Rodgers to take the field, but just 4 snaps into his Jets career, he gets sacked by Leonard Floyd, and you see the end result. Rodgers had to be helped off the field. He immediately went to the medical tent before he was carted off and ruled out for the rest of the game. X-rays were negative on what the team is calling an ankle injury, but that's not necessarily a good sign. He'll have an MRI next, which will then paint a clearer picture on the severity of said injury. As for what happened after Rodgers left, nobody could have foreseen this. The Jets offense rallied to force overtime, and then in their first possession of the OT, Xavier Gipson, one of the kids featured in Hard Knocks who just barely made the Jets roster, now he is the hero, the MetLife Miracle, a walk-off punt return for the Jets, 22-16, the happy final. Everybody catch your breath. Wow, what a scene at MetLife. We will have a live report, and what we're also hoping to find out some more reaction and an update, if you will, on that injury to Aaron Rodgers. We'll see in a bit coming up in Sports. Sade, back to you.
Okay, Ryan, we look forward to that. Thank you. Well, now to the weather. The rain didn't last very long, but boy, did it come down. Streets quickly flooding all around the area. Thunder, lightning, the whole shebang. And when it was done, giant rainbows in the sky. Chief Meteorologist Lee Goldberg busy tracking it all. And there's more rain coming this week, Lee?
Yes, but not tomorrow. Boy, I thought the weather was electric today before all the sports tonight. We've settled down, and so has the weather. You know, we'll actually have a dry day for most of us tomorrow as we shut off the heavy showers, just a stray shower over the next 24 hours. But from all the rainfall we had today, and some places got over 4 or 5 inches of rain, we have flash flood warnings in Monmouth and Ocean County, and that will go until 1 in the morning. A flood advisory for Bronx and Westchester till just after midnight, so travel up the Hutch a little dicey right now. Near record rainfall today, 2 1/3 inches. The record's close to 3 inches from 1954. You see some of the rainfall amounts anywhere from 2 to 5 inches, and that was from Monmouth, right along I-95 into New York City and the lower Hudson Valley, North Shore of the island as well. So the last of the showers are starting to move out, and now we'll just see clouds and some areas of fog formed by tomorrow morning. Tomorrow morning, partly to mostly cloudy with those areas of fog, but that should burn off. And the sunshine comes out, and it's around 80 degrees. It's a touch less humid than today. Not a bad day overall with nothing more than a stray shower. So dry for most tomorrow. We get an alert on Wednesday, though, because we'll have downpours coming in late tomorrow night into Wednesday morning. And then, of course, the latest on Hurricane Lee, maintaining its major category 3 status, but slowing down now. It's likely to take that sharp northerly turn over the next 24 to 48 hours. And the cone this evening shifted a little farther east, but eastern New England, still a chance there for a landfall. We'll talk about the impacts here in the tri-state area in AccuWeather in just a little bit. Sade, back to you for now.
Okay, thank you, Lee. Well, all of today's rain led to some frightening moments tonight. Police officers in Perth Amboy, New Jersey, had to help a woman and her pet when the woman's car became submerged in floodwater. The woman and her pet were taken to dry land uninjured. Well, today marks 22 years since the deadliest terror attack on American soil. Family members gathered in Lower Manhattan again today, not because they want to, because they have to honor and to remember the 2,753 people who died at the World Trade Center. Tonight, the tribute and light burning brightly for the people we lost that terrible day. Eyewitness News reporter Josh Heiniger with a look at the tributes today and tonight.
Tonight on a crowded sidewalk outside the Battery Tunnel, people tilted back their heads and stared up at the heavens as the pillars of light stretched through the clouds and into the endless darkness beyond.
We was all there collectively. You know, there's a lot of people that were not there, but we were all there.
Joshua de Los Santos was 6 when the towers fell. It's where his parents met years earlier. Now 28, this was his first trip to see the lights.
I definitely remember just like seeing everyone's faces. That's like the one thing that you remember when you're a kid, is just everyone's face, kind of just like the shock and just like the horror even, you know, just everybody just reacting to something that you thought would never happen.
Today,
Joseph Michael Giacconi.
they came back.
22 years or like 22 seconds.
The families of the fallen, the survivors, so many people whose lives would never be the same.
I forced myself to remember that it wasn't yesterday or a month or a year. It was 22 years ago. My brother was murdered here.
The life you lived and the memories you left behind will be forever cherished. Family members are like stars. You don't always see them, but you always know they're there.
And hours later, the memorial over and families long gone. It's mostly tourists here now, many who grew up a world away and found themselves in New York on the anniversary and just had to see.
For me, New York's like a place I've only seen on TV, in movies, in films, and something happening like that, global news, and then able to be standing here after everything's recovered, everything's building up again. It's amazing.
In Lower Manhattan, Josh Einiger, Channel 7, Eyewitness News.
A remembrance ceremony and wreath laying was held today at the Pentagon. It was led by Defense Secretary Lloyd Austin. 184 people died at the Pentagon when American Airlines Flight 77 went down. An American flag was unfurled today at the exact spot where the plane crashed. And a ceremony was also held today in Shanksville, Pennsylvania. That's where United Flight 93 crashed after passengers fought back against hijackers, causing that plane, likely targeting the U.S. Capitol, to go down. The names of the 40 passengers and crew members on that flight were read as bells rang in remembrance. And tonight we remember two of our Eyewitness News colleagues. Engineer Don DeFranco was stationed at the top of the World Trade Center on the morning of 9/11. We had just installed a new digital transmitter up there, and Don, who knew how to make or fix just about anything, was in charge of it. Don was loyal, kind, funny, and smart, and just 43 years old. And we're also remembering our friend and colleague photographer Todd Pierce. He died earlier this year after a long battle with a 9/11 related cancer. Todd was out ground zero for days covering the attacks. His creativity and immense talent, his sense of humor and wide smile, and most importantly, his big heart. It touched us all. Todd was 57 years old, and tonight we're thinking about Don and Todd's loved ones on this very difficult day. We're sending you much love. And we take another look at the tribute and light shining at this hour in Lower Manhattan. For all the sights, sounds, and emotions of today's tributes, we invite you to visit ABC 7 NY. Well, tomorrow we could get more details from the CDC on the latest COVID vaccines, which took a big step forward today. The FDA approved updated COVID vaccines from Pfizer and Moderna that are aimed at boosting protection against the newest strains of the virus. The shots are expected to be rolled out to pharmacies and clinics later this week, right after the CDC director gives final approval. Well, the migrant crisis now forcing deep budget cuts for New York City. Today, Mayor Adams officially ordered all city agencies to cut their spending by 5%. The money will go to the 60,000 migrants currently in the city's care. The mayor says unless something changes, people should expect another 10% in cuts next year.
I must be honest with New Yorkers. I can't sugarcoat this. I can't try to be politically correct. I need to let New Yorkers know what we are facing.
The cuts include a hiring freeze and a reduction in overtime for police and firefighters. Tonight, the water is back on in a NYCHA complex in Queens. The water went out this morning, leaving thousands in the lurch, many saying they had no idea repairs were being made. But the building says signs were indeed posted. Either way, a long, hot day of frustration in Astoria. Eyewitness News reporter Lucy Yang has the story.
Rainy days on Mondays turned all the more blue here at the Ravenswood houses, where indoor plumbing went dry. Shirley Harrison's toilet needed water dumped into it in order to flush. And you can forget about the shower.
I almost fell carrying the water, and I don't know. I'm just upset about the whole situation.
We're told the water went out around 10 o'clock Monday morning, a very unpleasant surprise for those in Building 1 here in Astoria, Queens. For many, hauling water is not an option. Many are elderly or disabled. Cassandra Hill is 7 months pregnant.
It's crazy. You can't drink nothing. I can't cook, use the bathroom, can't flush the toilet or nothing.
Sylvia Rivera cares for her elderly mother and cannot keep running back and forth to the hydrant, which has been outfitted with 4 faucets. So she double-bagged her hamper, put it in her shopping cart, and basically engineered an impromptu portable water tank.
This will last you how long, do you think?
I have no idea. It's very upsetting.
NYCHA had plumbers working on the boiler Monday, which necessitated the shutoff. Thankfully, cold water was restored by nightfall. Hot water would take longer.
Notices should have been put up 72 hours in advance. Whether it was taken down or never posted, residents complained they had no idea why their faucets went dry or how long the drought would last. In Queens, Lucy Yang, Channel 7, Eyewitness News.
He was trapped for days next at 11. An American from Westchester County is finally free from a cave in Turkey after suffering a medical emergency thousands of feet below ground. What he's saying tonight about the ordeal. And breaking news in the search for an escaped inmate in Pennsylvania. There's late details coming in now on a new sighting of him.
Wow, what an incredible win by the Jets.
Now that's how you start a new season.
Coming up, we're starting our own new season tomorrow.
We sure are. Tomorrow we are launching Eyewitness News mornings at 10.
We're going to have all the latest headlines. Of course, we're going to have your weather forecast. And we're going to have a conversation about topics you're probably talking about right now.
Mayor Adams is going to be on set with us tomorrow, and we hope you'll join us too.
So much to get to with the mayor and so much to talk about. Eyewitness News mornings at 10. We'll see you there.
And we're following some breaking news tonight in the search for the escaped killer. Authorities have swarmed an area near Chester County, Pennsylvania for what we are being told is a new confirmed sighting of Danilo Cavalcante. The area is west of Philadelphia and near where a dairy van he allegedly stole was abandoned. State police say if Cavalcante doesn't surrender, officers are pre-authorized to use deadly force if he is found. Well, tonight, a man from Westchester County has been rescued after being stuck in a cave in Turkey for 12 days. He's now getting the medical attention he sorely needs. Tonight, new reaction from Mark Dickey about being trapped nearly 3,000 feet below ground. The caver saying tonight, it is amazing to be above ground again. I was underground far longer than ever expected. ABC News correspondent Melissa Adon with how rescuers got him out.
A remarkable rescue. Mark Dickey lifted to safety 9 days after suffering a life-threatening health emergency while thousands of feet down inside a cave. The experienced caver seen smiling moments after being pulled to the surface. ABC's Marcus Moore witnessing the critical moment in Turkey.
You can see Mr. Dickey there with that thermal blanket wrapped around him. This was a delicate operation, a delicate mission, one that took a lot of manpower and a lot of planning.
The 40-year-old highly trained caver from New York trapped more than 3,000 feet underground for more than a week after falling ill and suffering from stomach bleeding. An international team with critical aid was sent down to get him last week. This video captured as he was being treated, given blood transfusions. His condition improved enough to move him. The researcher part of an expedition to map the Morka Cave, one of Turkey's deepest caves. Experts sharing how it's challenging to maneuver. Some of the passages so small they had to be widened to fit the stretcher carrying Dickey.
There are so many slopes, it's a bit tricky.
But the mission proving successful. Dickey is in stable condition with positive vital signs according to Turkish officials. His family sharing their immense gratitude for the international caving community.
Melissa Adon, Channel 7 Eyewitness News.
You get claustrophobic watching. It's unbelievable. What a great job. I remember the Chilean miners and feeling the same way, but amazing they rescued them. All right, pivoting to our weather situation, we're still humid out there. We're in the upper 60s and low 70s, but the weather is clearly quieted down. We may have a repeat on Wednesday, but for now, the next 24 hours will be quieter. We got nearly 2 1/3 inches of rainfall today after a high of 82. We'll be in the lower 80s tomorrow. A touch less humid. I don't even know if you'll really even notice it. I wanted to put up the moon phase just because we're headed toward a new moon on Thursday, and of course, our tides will be rising. We're going to get some swells from Hurricane Lee, so it's definitely some coastal concerns as we head through late week. Last of the showers leaving the east end. We have a front that's over us right now, and this light northerly flow will help to drop the humidity a little bit over the next 24 hours, or at least dry us out. Now, we may have some low clouds and a little bit of fog tomorrow morning, but that should quickly give way to partly to even mostly sunny skies. Notice there's almost like a little sea breeze front shown here over the island. Maybe that boundary is one area where you might get a stray shower, but for the most part, I think the area is going to be dry tomorrow. You're fine to the evening hours. A little change to tomorrow night's forecast because I did issue an AccuWeather alert, but I really think it's very late and into Wednesday morning. The timing looks a little slower with the onset of some of these heavy downpours, but it will affect the Wednesday morning commute. I just think it might last a little longer into the day, and maybe we don't start to dry out till mid-afternoon, meaning that both the morning and the evening commute could have impacts with some of the flooding that we have. We should quiet down into Wednesday evening and then the real dry push of air. So an AccuWeather alert during the day on Wednesday. Thursday, finally a dry push of air, and just in time because we need this front to help veer Hurricane Lee away from the East Coast. That's likely to happen, but we'll get some coastal impact. We could get a shield of clouds. We'll get some breezes and obviously some wave action. This is still a storm that could make a landfall in eastern New England, maybe more likely the Canadian Maritimes for us. It's dangerous rip currents, coastal flooding, high surf and beach erosion, and in a worst case, a band of rain. Sometime on Saturday could swing back toward eastern Long Island, some gusty winds as well. We'll watch it closely. Right now, winds of 115 miles an hour, looking healthy, but definitely slow mover at this point. It'll eventually go down to Cat 2 as it goes west of Bermuda, and there's that channel in between Bermuda and the East Coast. And look at that cone, which doesn't include as much of southeastern New England, but notice how it could go anywhere from down East Maine all the way to Nova Scotia as we go into the upcoming weekend. Look at the wave action. By the way, that's from Hurricane Margot, just a fish storm. We start to see the wave action on Wednesday. It peaks Friday into Saturday, and then things will improve after that. We're 69 degrees at 7 in the morning, partly cloudy, some patchy fog. That'll give way to sunshine, and then just a spot shower around in the afternoon, dry for most. Tomorrow night, it's late night showers into your Wednesday morning, so an AccuWeather alert on Wednesday for showers and storms for more flooding, and finally, extended dry weather returns. Less humid on Thursday, breezy Friday and Saturday with coastal concerns because of Lee. We go into Sunday, sun and clouds, and Monday looks okay as we get into more of a rhythm of some nice September weather. Danny Beckstrom and Sam Champion will have your forecast in the morning, then, of course, on mornings at 10. I got to get used to that, Sade.
I know. We'll all be watching. Okay, thanks, Lee. Well, new and next at 11, you can lead a horse to water, but be careful. Getting him out could be a big problem. Well, wine was flowing through a Portuguese village over the weekend. Literally, 2 tanks owned by a distillery failed yesterday, releasing more than 580,000 gallons of wine right into the streets of a village 60 miles south of Porto. The resident who shot this footage says she ended up with wine residue on her walls and wine drenched her plants. Enough wine spilled to fill an Olympic-sized swimming pool. And speaking of pools, firefighters were called to rescue a horse that got stuck in a pool in North Carolina. A homeowner woke up yesterday to discover their 1,200-pound horse named Miss Lexi standing inside the pool. She just wanted to dip. It's believed she may have become frightened during an overnight storm and somehow fell or galloped into the below-ground pool. The fire department sent a specially trained large animal rescue technician. It took several hours, but they were finally able to get Miss Lexi out.
It's happened to me so many times.
So we got Ryan Field with sports, and what a night.
What a night. As I just said, it was a roller coaster of emotions tonight, and we're still trying to process everything that's happened, including the news we just got from Robert Saleh moments ago. Jets and Bills under the bright lights of Monday Night Football. You saw it right here on Channel 7. What a win for Gang Green, but it's the status of number 8 that has Jets fans on pins and needles. We'll have the update for you when we come back. What a wild win at MetLife, but it came at a cost. Even the most optimistic Jets fan will probably tell you things just seem too good to be true, and tonight they might be right. Opening night at the Meadowlands, an incredible moment pregame. Aaron Rodgers leading the team out of the tunnel, carrying the red, white, and blue on 9/11, but then on just his fourth snap as a Jet, gets sacked by Leonard Floyd, and just like that, his night was over. The replay shows what the team is fearing tonight, that it is a torn Achilles tendon, which would end his season. Wow. More on Rodgers in a moment. Once again, Zach Wilson running the offense. Lucky for him, Breece Hall is back too. First game back since tearing his ACL last season, and he does this. An 83-yard run. That would set up a Jets field goal to tie the game at 3. Not much going right for the Jets offense after that, but in the fourth, how about that catch by Garrett Wilson for the touchdown? My goodness. One more look. That, friends, is simply one of the greatest catches you will ever see. It tied the game at 13. The game would go to overtime and then fireworks. Xavier Gipson, the undrafted rookie out of Stephen F. Austin, one of the stars of Hard Knocks, calls ball game. 65 yards to the house, and it was bedlam at MetLife. A night that began with heartbreak ends with elation as the Jets stun the Bills 22-16. The very happy final. Well, it went from the lowest of lows to the highest of highs. This game had a little bit of everything. For more on this one, and more importantly, the latest on Aaron Rodgers, back to MetLife we go, where Sam Ryan is standing by live. Sam.
Hey, Ryan, yeah, and those winning feelings definitely overshadowed by the injury to Aaron Rodgers. You showed the injury. Now, x-rays taken during the game, they were negative, but that just rules out a break, doesn't rule out any type of soft tissue damage, including an injury to the Achilles. And that, Robert Saleh, what he says is what the Jets fear.
Concerned with his Achilles. MRI is probably going to confirm what we think is already going to happen, so prayers tonight, but it's not good. Personally, I don't hurt for me. I don't hurt for our locker room. I hurt for Aaron and how much he's invested in all of this. So I'm still going to say a prayer. I'm still going to hold out hope. My heart's with Aaron right now and nowhere else.
A lot of emotions, right? Like week one, opening day, trying to learn as much as I can from this guy, but I also got to make sure I'm ready to go.
Now, the MRI for Aaron Rodgers, that'll take place tomorrow, which will provide some answers for the Jets. And for Jets fans, this is all too reminiscent of 1999. If you recall, it'll be 24 years tomorrow. Their season opener, Vinny Testaverde, their quarterback, that day, there were Super Bowl expectations for that team, and he ruptured his Achilles, their first game of the season, ending his season. Well, Vinny Testaverde was at the game here tonight. He was an honorary captain, took part in the coin toss, but now tonight the thoughts are with Aaron Rodgers as they wait for answers. That'll do it from MetLife Stadium. Sam Ryan, Channel 7 Eyewitness News. Back to you.
All right, Sam, thanks. As bad as the weather was in the tri-state, it was even worse in Boston. Yankees and Red Sox rained out at Fenway. They'll play a day-night doubleheader tomorrow. Mets and D-backs in Queens. Many first responders, a couple Mets legends on hand to commemorate the anniversary of 9/11. Home team fell behind early, but they had a big fourth inning. Jeff McNeil here. Get out of here. Number 8 on the season gets the Mets on the board. That made it 2-1. Same inning, Ronnie Mauricio sending a bullet to the gap and right. Pete Alonso scores. DJ Stewart going to score all the way from first. It's a 2-run double, but the Mets end up losing 4-3. So a tough loss for them, and obviously a tough night for the Jets. Aaron Rodgers, but a good night for the fans.
Okay, thanks, Ryan. We'll be right back. And thanks for staying up late with us tonight. That's the news for now. I'm Sade Baderinwa. Good night.